Hello, everybody. I am here, accidentally live. Going live was a total accident. I meant to post a story. Haha, get it? My sense of humor isn't really there quite yet. Hey, everyone. Okay. Wow, lots of people already here. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do today, and I cannot make any promises about how long this is going to take, but we're just going to kind of go through this document that was filed or that recently came to light, that Britney Spears filed or whatever, or her attorney did, requesting a specific corporate fiduciary. And of course, like always, we'll get into what some of these words mean, and I'll try to simplify it for people who don't have the legal background. Okay, so what we can start with is what we always start with, this top section. Who is it filed by? It's filed by Sam Ingham. As we know, it's Britney's attorney, court-appointed attorney, not an attorney that she chose for herself. We have the conservatorship name here, Conservatorship of Britney Spears. Hope all y'all are doing good today. All right, so we see here that, I'm going to take this little pen as a pointer. We see here that the hearing date and time is set for November 10th at 1:30. So the judge will not decide on this probably until then. So as usual, we're just going to go through the boxes that are actually checked and just talk about that. There's no reason for us to sit here and talk about things that they did not, check off, unless I find a reason to, and then we can. So Britney Jean Spears, that's the petitioner, okay? So anytime you see petitioner, that's going to mean Britney. It says that she requests that, no one yet be appointed, and then they put it down here, Bessemer Trust Company of California, N.A. They have their telephone number. Do y'all want to go to their website right now, or do you just want to go through this court document? I have the website pulled up too if y'all want to go look at what that's about. So far, so good. It doesn't seem at least to my knowledge right now, I haven't been able to uncover anything shady about this company. I haven't been able to uncover anything shady about their connection to Lou Taylor or to anyone else in the conservatorship. Okay, let's go to the website real quick. It's a pretty legit website. This is what one of the pages looks like. And I just went to the what we do for you. And it says that they, manage people's financial life, wealth planning, investment management, and family office services. Now, I will say this company does look rather Caucasian, if that's something that you are interested in. This is a lot of white people. But it just, none of the similar players. I think it's cool that it's based in, California, but I think it was started in New York, so it isn't it's some random Tennessee firm. They manage $140 billion in assets, whereas Stonebridge doesn't even manage, $1 billion. They manage a few hundred million. So, yeah, anyway, we can go back more to that later if y'all have specific questions about them. But so far, so good. I think this firm actually looks fine. That's just my opinion so far. All right, back to this petition here. Page 1 out of 24. We're going to move along here. So they do list the Bessemer Trust Company. And just to give y'all a little bit of an overlay before we even get started into any more, a lot of people are a little confused about Andrew Wallet. Andrew Wallet has not been approved to be co-conservator of Britney's estate. They have only filed a petition. So, yeah, Michael, I think that the company looks fine so far. I haven't found anything shady, but, I reserve the right to change my mind. And they definitely seem more serious than Lou Taylor. And they seem more serious than Stonebridge, but that's just my personal opinion as of right now. And they have a lot of amazing clients, so that's really good. So far, it looks fine. Honestly, I've never heard of them before. They're not one of the big, huge firms I've heard of, but that doesn't mean anything, really. There's lots of people who are competent out there. Oh, and we have in specific, we have a Jeff Glowacki. Let's see what he's about. That's who they mention. Let's see. Where's Jeff? Can I just type him in, you think? there he is. So this guy is the one that they want. Let's read his bio. Let's see what's up with him. Okay, he is the Western Region Head and National Director of Wealth Advisory at Bessemer Trust. He's responsible for client relationships in the Western United States. His responsibilities are oversight of wealth advisor activities. Wow, that's great. He's a member of the firm's management committee. This seems like pretty legit. So I don't know. Yeah, he got his MBA from UCLA, which is an accredited school, unlike the the law school that Andrew Wallet graduated from, which is now unaccredited. So UCLA, very reputable. He got his bachelor's of science degree in business, concentration in finance. Yeah, he seems like, from USC, he seems like pretty legit. Okay, not mad at him. Cool. Good job, Jeff Glowacki. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. All right. So that's who they want to be the conservator of Britney's estate. I think that's pretty cool. Okay. All right. So what is Britney asking for in this petition? She wants Jeff, or this trust, with this guy's attention, to be appointed as conservator, because the proposed, what do I always get confused with this? Granted order. Let me just get my bearings here. Yeah, okay. So basically it's just the checking the boxes saying Britney is the one saying that she wants this. I'm just going to say Jeff, but when I say Jeff, I'm talking about Bessemer, okay? So she wants Jeff, through Bessemer, to be appointed as a conservator. She also wants orders authorizing the independent exercise of powers under a certain probate code. And we will get to those powers that she's wanting. If everyone's in agreement that Sam is dodgy as fuck, I get the worst vibes from him. Which Sam? There's so many. Sam Ingham or Sam Asghari? Okay. So they also are asking for other orders be granted, and we will get to those in attachment. I'm going to use my pen. In attachment 1L or 1I or whatever it is. JKL. 1L. So the proposed conservatee, it shouldn't say proposed because she is already a conservatee, is Britney Spears. And then, of course, her mail all gets sent for this case to Sam Ingham. That's why he's listed there. So, interestingly, this is the first time I've seen this where they say the petitioner, because usually it says, is a family member, right? Is a relative. But here it says, is the conservatee, right? So the petitioner is Britney, and she is the conservatee. And she is nominating another entity. That is not a bank, right? An entity authorized to conduct business of a trust company. So she's nominating them. There's so many Sams and so many Jamies. Oh my God, I know so many. So she's nominating an entity, which means just not like a human person, right? It means it's a business, to basically come in and be the conservator of her estate. And from what I understand, this would also remove Jamie Spears. I can make this slightly bigger if y'all are having trouble seeing. Let's keep going until we see a checked box or an X'd box. Estimated value of personal property. They didn't list it here. They said to see attachment 3. And we will, as usual, go through those attachments as we get to them. Also, if y'all see anyone trolling in my comments or being anti-Free Britney, just send me a DM with their name, their handle, or whatever, username, and I will block them because I don't want that bullshit in my videos. Okay. So as far as notice to petition, this is my first time really going through this too. Sorry, y'all, I'm a little slow. I've been studying for the bar exam since literally 5 a.m. It's 11 right now, a.m. Okay. Far as known to the petitioner, a conservatorship has not been filed in another jurisdiction. Now that I find interesting because didn't I hear some weird rumor? Tell me, somebody in here who knows a little bit more about this than me. Isn't there a rumor that they did file to have have the conservatorship extended into several other states, and that would mean other jurisdictions? Somebody who isn't me, tell me. Yes, I will. Yes, I will definitely be posting this after, and I'm going slow. I'm sorry, y'all. Just to get a cup of coffee. So, does anyone know about the other, okay, so they did. So I don't know what this is about then, if this is the truth or what. It says, so far as known to the petitioner, a conservatorship or equivalent proceeding concerning the proposed conservatee has not been filed in another jurisdiction. So I guess, I don't know what that's about. I would need help to solve that discrepancy. Next, proposed conservatee is not a patient in or on leave of absence from a state institution under this certain code. Okay, great. What else? She is neither receiving nor entitled to receive benefits from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And she is not a member of a federally recognized Indian tribe. Okay, great. We could have probably said that already. So we're just going to keep on going until we see more X's. Okay, so this is something that a lot of y'all have probably seen screenshot of. It is the case that proposed conservatee requires a conservator and is unable to manage her financial resources or to resist fraud or undue influence. Now, to my knowledge, no, I'm not going to strike that because I'm not sure. Okay, so what are the reasons that are the supporting facts? Supporting facts of what? Okay, this is a voluntary conservatorship. Conservatee, that's Britney, wishes to exercise her right to nominate a conservator of the estate under this certain section, 1810. A nomination signed personally by the conservatee is attached. Okay, we'll get to that as well. The thing about this being a voluntary conservatorship, and let me see if I can pull up Meaner's tweet actually, because Meaner said a good explanation of this voluntary conservatorship thing. And we'll just go straight to their tweet. Okay. So if you see what Meaner tweeted 13 hours ago, Meaner said, this is a voluntary conservatorship. And then Meaner says, therefore, she, meaning Britney, is exercising her right to nominate a conservator of her choice. Meaner says karma will, karma, after you got her agreeing on making this conservatorship permanent in 2008, telling her it was a condition for the circus tour and it will end after. So I take that to mean that Britney is in a voluntary conservatorship because she kind of got tricked into allowing it to happen in order to go on the circus tour. I have just recently gotten into this, movement, so I'm not 100% sure about the 2008 conservatorship, voluntary, but I'm to the extent that y'all have questions as to why this is a voluntary conservatorship. I think that it has something to do with this that happened in 2008 around the circus tour. And if you have more questions about that, probably Meaner is the person to ask. Okay. Oops. Let's go back to the petition. All right. So again, this is a voluntary conservatorship, and Britney wishes to exercise her right to nominate a conservator of the estate, subject to a certain provision, and the nomination is signed personally by her at the end. And I'm sure y'all have already seen all of that, but we will see it at the end here. Proposed conservatee, we're at 5D, that's Britney, voluntarily requests the appointment of a successor. Let's see. All petitioner. Okay, I always do this. I think she was supposed to check a box somewhere. Proposed conservatee voluntarily requests the appointment of it's a conservator. I don't know why they didn't check that box. Britney does not have a developmental disability as defined in Probate Code Section 1420. So I'm going to actually write down probate on my notes here for the people who are watching this for the series, How to Read a Lawsuit or a law document or whatever. 1420. I'm going to go developmental disability, because I want to know what they're alleging she does have and what she does not have, right? Okay. So she does not have a developmental disability as defined under Section 1420. Okay, that's good to know. Where else do we see something checked? It isn't until down here that I see something else checked, number 8. Britney is the petitioner and has nominated the proposed conservator. It does not say she will attend the hearing. So this right here box would be what would be checked if she was attending the hearing. And it is not checked. So I don't believe that she will be in attendance at this hearing. Please someone correct me if you know for a fact she will be at this hearing. All right, moving on. All right, number 11, proposed conservative. They're supposed to cross out proposed. So conservatives' relatives, and you've seen this list before several times, but they, instead of putting it here, said to see attachment 11. So we'll get to that when we get to the attachments. All right, and then you have here Sam Ingham signing on behalf of himself, and you also have him signing on behalf of Britney as her court-appointed counsel. Yeah, if she had dementia at her age, if she had dementia at her age, I think it would be a world record, like from the research I've done. Okay, so now let's get to some of these attachments. Okay, so the first attachment is what powers that Britney is specifically requesting her conservator of her estate to have. Here's one of those powers, independent powers. Britney requests that the Bessemer Trust Company, right, as conservator of the estate, be granted the following independent powers. To be exercised jointly by the trust, together with any other currently qualified and acting co-conservator of the estate. So at the moment, I believe that Jamie Spears is currently qualified and acting conservator of the estate. So I think this language, this is just my speculation, but I think this language is probably put in here just in case Jamie is allowed to stay as a co-conservator and Bessemer Trust were to be put in as a co-conservator, that Bessemer Trust would at least have as many powers as Jamie, right? And I think I would put that in there if I was the lawyer on this case as well. And I am not the lawyer on this case, but that's just my opinion. What other powers? The power to operate at the risk of the estate, a business, farm, or enterprise constituting an asset of the estate. So that's a fancy lawyer way of saying to operate, businesses that are running from the estate. And even if that means, he might lose some of the money, or they, right? Because it is an entity. I should really be calling it. If you're someone who's interested in law or going to law school, entities are referred to as it, not they, or he or she, because it's not a person, right? The power to pay, collect, compromise, or otherwise adjust claims, debts, or demands upon the conservatorship. So yeah, this is just giving him financial power to pay or collect, to pay debts, collect debts, to make sure, we don't go bankrupt in the conservatorship, and to arbitrate any arbitration. Arbitration is kind of like going to court, but it's not court. It's kind of like a different way to settle your differences. All right. Additional powers. Okay, more powers. So this is, maybe something that y'all have to, just for the record, I'm going to pause real quick. I'm not claiming anything about lobotomy or MK Ultra or QAnon or anything like that. I do have a strong belief that Britney Spears is being trafficked, but that's just based on the federal definition of trafficking at the Department of Homeland Security. So please no one think that, those are my theories, that I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I like to look, obviously, at facts and laws, even though it's like very boring compared to conspiracy theories, which are super fun. I like laws and facts. So that's what we're going to continue to look at on my page. But yeah, y'all can carry on in the comments, I suppose. All right. So Britney requests that the trust be granted the following additional powers in addition to the powers that the law just provides by default, right? So there's certain powers that the law gives conservators of estates. They're asking for additional powers, but this is different than Andrew Wallet's petition, correct? Because Andrew Wallet's petition looks exactly the same as this, but the difference is petitioner in this case is Britney Spears. The petitioner in Andrew Wallet's case is Andrew Wallet, right? So here, Britney herself, petitioner, requests that this company have these rights, okay? So that's a really important distinction, and I want that to kind of make its way through the discourse, that while these are the same powers that Andrew Wallet did ask for and probably did have before, this is different because Britney herself is requesting that Bessemer Trust Company have these powers. So I'm going to give it a little more weight because it is something that Britney's explicitly asking for, right? Here come the additional powers. I'm getting to them. Sorry. So she requests that let me just make sure I'm saying the right thing. Okay. The power to obtain all documents and records relating to her and her assets, whether held in her name or in the name of another. So that's a really good one, right? Because how about all of those assets that are held in Jamie Spears' name, right? All contracts, information relating to credit cards, bank statements, estate planning documents, receivables, which means like IOUs from other people, right? Like she should be receiving money from certain contracts or certain services or work or whatever, and any and all powers of attorney. So this is a very densely populated little clause here, but she wants Bessemer Trust Company to have the power to get all of her documents, frankly, from, the current conservators who are, right now, it's just Jamie of the estate. Okay. What else does Britney want? She wants Bessemer Trust Company to have the power to take all actions necessary to secure her assets. Now, that we could go into a whole dissertation on. We could spend a lot of time on that. But basically, Britney wants them to be able to take action, the legal actions necessary to protect her money from, from losing money. She also wants to grant them the power to revoke all powers of attorney, including powers of attorney for making healthcare decisions and managing real estate. So this is another thing that we see verbatim from Andrew Wallet's powers that he is requesting. So it's possible this just made it in there because she wants these people to have this firm to have the same powers as Andrew Wallet if he is to be given these powers, right? Does that make sense? Okay. Number 4, wants the power to commence and maintain. Commence means begin or start or, begin. And continue, maintain, continue litigation. Litigation means going to court and having, taking somebody to court and having a trial or hearings, right? That's what litigation means. So Britney wants the trust to have the power to begin litigation on her behalf and participate in that litigation with respect to her as a party. So if someone sues her or if she wants to sue someone, she wants this Bessemer Trust Company to be allowed to sue people on her behalf with respect to the estate, right? So if it has to do with her money or if it has to do with... sorry, I got really distracted by y'all's comments. You're very interesting, more interesting than my droning on. Okay, so she wants, Bessemer Trust Company to be able to commence or begin litigation and participate in litigation on her behalf. And the power to retain counsel. That means hire an attorney. She wants them to be given the power to hire an attorney and experts and pay them from the estate, not only as to the family law, but for any other matter. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this is normal language, but if it's not, that's a really interesting addition, right? Because she's saying, I want them to be able to sue my family. I want them to be able to sue in family matters, in other legal matters, having to do with money, etc. All right, let's see. Let me read this one to myself real quick. Power to perform any and all acts. Okay, yeah, and then this is just giving them tax permissions. Okay. Maybe we should go through this because it mentions a trust, and as y'all know, we have just found out that Jamie Lynn Spears is the trustee of Britney's trust. So let's go through this one. This one might be a little dense. So Britney wants Bessemer Trust Company to be given the power to perform any and all acts that she can perform with respect to, tax purposes, or any entity, trust, foundation in which she acts as a representative or an owner. So to my understanding, being a beneficiary of a trust, which is what Britney is the same as being an owner, okay? If that's the case, she wants to give some power to do stuff with that trust to her conservator. I don't know how that's going to work with Jamie Lynn as the trustee. If Jamie Lynn doesn't want to do something, who's going to get the ultimate decision-making power? I don't know. And ultimately, I don't think anybody knows. I think it would just have to be litigated, which means brought to court. So she wants to be given the power to, them to be given the power to look at all of her confidential tax info, demand or endorse cash refund checks, sign her tax return. So basically giving them the tax responsibilities. Okay, number 6, we're here. The power to prosecute civil harassment restraining orders deemed to be appropriate. And when I read this, I just laughed and said, like, haha, I hope they put a restraining order against Lou. But I really don't know why they put that there. It is in Andrew Wallet's petition. So all of this basically just follows from the petition that Andrew Wallet has already filed. Okay, number 7, the power and authorization to pursue opportunities related to professional commitments and activities, including performing, recording, videos, tours, TV shows, and other similar activities as long as they are approved by the conservator of the person and conservatee's medical team. Now, this is exactly word for word from Andrew Wallet's petition as well. And again, I can't speak to the fact that whether Britney actually really wants someone to be in charge of all this stuff, or if she just wants, worst comes to worst, they put these people as co-conservators. At least they have the same powers as Andrew Wallet. And strategically, that's what I would do if I was her lawyer. Even though it kind of looks like you're like letting them have control over, her working, which is, if she doesn't want to work and they're forcing her to work, then that is trafficking. However, I think that if I were her lawyer, I would want someone to put, I would want actually to put this in here, because if Andrew Wallet ends up being co-conservator, then he's going to have this power, and you want the person that you put in to have that same power, right? I guess. I don't know. This is just me kind of speculating. Okay, number 8, the power to select. This is a big one. Okay, this is where Stonebridge comes in. The power to select, invest in, and monitor the particular investment vehicles. Investment vehicles means like either a fund or a firm or a company, like where you put your money so that they can invest it and make more money, put it in the stock market or put it in another way to, generate interest or etc. Right? So she wants them to have the power to select those firms, invest in those firms, and monitor those firms for the conservatorship estate. And she also, she also wants them to be able to have control over the strategies utilized in the investment. So right now, that's Jamie Spears who has that power, right? So that's her father. Well, Jamie Spears, as we know, has allowed Lou Taylor's old firm, Stonebridge, to put Britney's money into Stonebridge before. So this conceivably, if let's say Jamie's removed and then these guys are put in, they would have the power to take Britney's money away from those certain investment firms. And that doesn't just apply to Stonebridge, right? Britney has money in Morgan Stanley. She has money in Merrill Lynch, which are considered investment vehicles. And, conceivably, if this conservatorship were to switch over to being conserved by this entity, which is, Bessemer, instead of Jamie, which is her dad, then they could move that money around too, and that this would be giving them the permission to do that. Of course, they have to follow certain guidelines, like they have to, use consideration and due diligence, and they have to, follow certain guidelines. But other than that, they would have the discretion to move her money around. Number 9, the power to employ attorneys, accountants, agents, depositories, and employees, and to pay their expenses. Now, this may come up in a lawsuit, needing to employ other attorneys, whatever. I think that's a great power to give someone if it is the case that Britney does want this, because it's almost as if she can hire her own attorney, which, as y'all know, I think that it's unconstitutional that Britney is not allowed to hire her own attorney. I think it violates her 6th Amendment, her 5th Amendment, her 6th Amendment, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights. The fact that she wasn't allowed to hire her own attorney. Definitely her 6th Amendment right, which gives you the right to an attorney. The power to employ attorneys. So that would give her a little bit of a leg up, I think. So that would be a good thing. Yeah, it does seem to be a good step. I agree with that. The attack on her son by her father must have been the tipping point. Can the judge deny this? The judge can deny this, yeah. I am hopeful that the judge will not deny this, because it was actually one of the first times that Britney herself has spoken through her attorney. explicitly stating her wishes, like this, in this way, in all these motions. So I hope the judge doesn't. None of the Courtney Kelly, none of this has to do with her personal affairs. This is only her estate, which is her money, right? Like her bank accounts and working type of things like that. Now, there's a lot of gray area overlap between the estate and the person, and it can get very confusing even for, trust and estates lawyers. Bessemer seems credible, Dylan, but I will do more research. If it gets denied, does the judge have to explain why? My instinct says probably, but I really don't know, Dylan. Wait, who asked me that? Whoever asked me that. Nikki, I really don't know. How about Jamie Lynn? Is she out now? As of right now, this doesn't change anything at all about Jamie Lynn. However, depending on the order that this stuff happens, like the chronological order and time, it could stop Jamie Lynn from moving that money that she's asking the court to allow her to move. What about in terms of having the freedom of life decision dating? I'm actually going to do an entire video on her ability to consent to sex and what California case law says about dating, relationships, and sex. But I think that I'm going to do a separate video for that. The next hearing in general is September 14th or 16th. That's going to be deciding on Andrew Wallet. Then there's one in middle of October. That one is going to be deciding on, let me get this straight here, whether or not to remove Jamie Spears as co-conservator or as conservator. And then this hearing will be in November. The other hearing that will be in November is for the judge to allow Jamie Lynn Spears to move Britney's money around, which this could come into conflict with that. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. Okay. The fact that this document proves Britney does not want TriStar to have anything to do with her money. Okay, so Lisa is here. She's a real lawyer, so she says this is a great step. But ultimately, there will likely be a hearing on the removal of James Spears because he's not voluntarily resigning. They will consolidate all of the hearings. Thank you, Lisa. When do you think that will happen? Do you think that will all happen in November then? Or will we still have a September hearing? What do you think? And if I miss what Lisa says, somebody tell me. Lisa McCarley. She's a real lawyer and she works in the California probate system, so she knows the system better than almost anybody. Oh, it's definitely better than me. I am a lowly corporate law intern for all intents and purposes. Okay. Where were we? Okay. The power to contract for the conservatorship. Okay, yeah. So basically number 10, the power to enter into contracts, right, for the conservatorship and bind the estate, which means like, make it liable for certain things or, whatever. I think that's a pretty standard thing to put in there. That's nothing exciting. Okay. Next thing we have here is attachment 3C1. And this is Britney Spears. Let's see if I can make it smaller. Nomination of the conservator. And a lot of you have seen this already. It's a very short document. It just says Britney nominates Bessemer Trust Company to serve as conservator of her estate. She signs it here. The end. It's dated as of when? August 27th. So pretty recently. Good job, Britt. Proud of you, girl. Okay, next attachment. The following is a true and correct copy of the 12th account current. And look, they threw a little shade here. This is how lawyers throw shade. It's like very subtle. But we love shade here. So we're going to do it. Note, these schedules that we're about to get to, it's these right here, right? You've seen these before. It's like these accounting report looking things, right? These schedules, as filed by James P. Spears, contain a typographical error. It refers to the, quote, 10th account current. However, Mr. Spears alleges that, in fact, they set forth the property on hand as of December 31st and the closing date of the 12th account current. So basically what had happened was, on this thing, James Spears, Britney's dad, conservator of the estate, puts 10th account current up here, but what's supposed to say is 12th account current. 10th account current was 2 years ago, right? So it's supposed to say 12th account. So the lawyers kind of throw shade here. I don't know if y'all think that that's funny, but I think it's hilarious. This is what it is very sad to me. Okay, Lisa's back, that James and Andrew will not step aside. Miss Spears is making a great decision. I agree, Lisa. Yeah, I agree completely, Lisa. And I'm sure you see this all the time, every day. Like, this is like nothing new, but this is brand new for us. So anyway, this is lawyer shade. So basically, this is supposed to just be the value. Remember up there, it was like, what's the value of the property in the estate? And they said, see attachment. This is that attachment. And I'm not going to go through all this with y'all because, quite frankly, it would be extremely boring. But you can just see where they have some of her money and where Jamie Spears is reporting. Any shade thrown at Jamie is hilarious. I know, especially when it's coming from like wet blanket Sam Ingham, who, in my opinion, hasn't done enough. But you know what? He's doing a lot right now. I think it could help her get out of the sea ship. Yeah, and I'll do a little more pontificating after. But what we see is just some personal bank accounts here. Then we have some investment accounts in Merrill Lynch, which is a reputable investment bank. We also have Morgan Stanley investment accounts, sort of similar thing. And you see like 2 million here, 2.7 million here. Nothing really exciting to see there. And then all of these accounts are pretty usual as far as what we've been seeing in this particular conservatorship. From what I understand from financial people, it's kind of odd to have this many accounts with one firm. But again, I really am not an expert. You have 24 million here, 16 million market value here, so about $56 million. Yeah, so that's just their and these, as we know, are allegedly or should be prepared by TriStar Sports and Entertainment, because that is the account reporter. Ryan, Britney the Sagittarius, let me know if that's not true. You're the expert on that part. Okay. Next attachment, good cause. Okay. So good cause is a legal concept where it's kind of like a standard or... Me? Okay. I think I accidentally took a picture. My bad. Good cause is like a standard or a burden that you have to clear or meet or overcome in order for the court to decide to give you something you're asking for. Okay? So good cause here, they're saying we have good cause, and our cause is this is a voluntary conservatorship. Britney, the conservatee, wishes to exercise her right to nominate a conservator of the estate, right, of her own choosing. A nomination signed personally is attached. We already saw that. Then what does she say about Jamie? Conservatee's father, James Spears, is serving alone as conservator of Britney's estate. Britney is strongly opposed to her father continuing as sole conservator of her estate. Rather, without in any way waiving her right to seek termination of this conservatorship in the future. So again, right? Without waiving her right to seek termination of this conservatorship in the future. So she's retaining her right to do that. She strongly prefers to have a qualified corporate fiduciary appointed to serve in this role. Now, I've had some trolls kind of say this is a bit... We believe she uses phone now. Okay. This is a bit ambiguous, which means it could be taken in more than one way. Now, when I first read this, and Lisa, if you're still here, I would love your feedback here from your lawyer perspective. But from my first read through and from what most media outlets seem to believe this means is that she doesn't want Jamie Spears involved at all anymore, right? But I have heard some kind of naysayers say, no. She doesn't care if he's involved. She just doesn't want him to be the only, right? Where does she say it? Serving alone as conservator of Britney's estate. She is opposed to her father continuing as sole conservator of her estate. Rather, she would want someone else to serve in the role. But then I'm a linguist, and if you're a linguist nerd, just come along with me for the next 20 seconds. But when I see this role, I think that that's referring to a particular role. And what is his particular role? His particular role is sole conservator. So I still maintain and believe that she wants Jamie removed. But I can see, and as a legal scholar or whatever, I do see how this could be read the other way, where she just wants someone else appointed as a co-conservator. Now, if you would read it that way, it would make sense then that team conservatorship would say, all right, let's put in Andrew Wallet then. Because if you're just mad that Jamie is the sole conservator, we'll put in another one. I don't know. Lisa, probate coach will be a challenge. There are 10 reasons to remove a conservator. Okay, so that's not. Yeah, Ryan, I do believe she would name him, and it does seem just like from this language on its face that she does not, this strongly opposed to him continuing as sole conservator. I think they probably were just hedging their bets, like, if you do anything at all, just please don't leave him in here alone as conservator. At least put another person in, or another entity, rather. Yeah, they're saying qualified, and Jamie is not qualified. Aggiana, that is exactly what I thought as well. I'm like, ooh, let's get into the case law and see what qualifies as qualified. Okay, and then we're getting to the end here. Conservatees, relatives, and then I think this is just something you just have to list, right? Your different family members, interested parties, etc. We have Britney, Brian, and Jamie Lynn, who are her siblings. We have her parents. We have her kids listed here, her ex-husband and father of her children. And then we have James Spears, who's the conservator of the estate. And we have Jody Paye Montgomery, who is the temporary conservator of the person, right? Not estate. Then we have Sam Ingham here. We have Lynn's attorneys. We have Jamie's attorneys. Who's this? Rebecca E. Swan. I've never seen her name before, right? Like, I always like to look at who the people's names are, because if I see their names again, it might help me. Well, it looks like we've finished. All right, well, we have finished. I guess I can take a few more questions, although I think probably Ryan and Lisa did a really good job in the comments. Let's see if I can scroll up. We need to see how Jamie responds, but as I read it, she wants her father out. Okay, that's how I read it too, Lisa. Thank you for that confirmation. If Jamie leaves and she continues her career, who would manage her career? The role that Jamie was more like a caretaker who told her what to do. Depop this, I think that there would be a pretty extensive delegation of powers, and I think they would probably, if everything was going right, they would all come in together and they would decide who's going to be in charge of what, and they would be taking Britney's opinion into consideration. What are the 10 reasons to remove a conservator? Yeah, I'm going to write that down on my notes over here. 10 reasons remove conservator, California, probate. I'm interested in looking into that as well. Does the implementation of this move by Ingham on Britney's behalf have authority to request the restraining orders against Lou, Robin, or anyone else? I am Sushmita. I think that is what that means. First and second degree relatives must be given notice and their counsel. Okay, that's helpful. Ryan is asking Lisa if she thinks that this will be approved, since the judge typically listens to court-appointed lawyers, and I'm also wondering that same question. Because it does seem like the court-appointed lawyer, and now, explicitly he's stated that Britney wants this too. It's not just his own personal belief, but it's that what his client actually wants. Is it, just what's your hunch? Is it more likely to be granted by the judge? I would love if Lisa answered that. To my knowledge, what I've heard, it would be more likely that the judge would side with court-appointed counsel. They're special favorites. Okay, let's see. Let me go back to, somebody had a good question. Does the implementation of this move authority to request a restraining order against Lou? I think that is what it means. I am Sushmita. I do think that, but to my understanding, restraining orders are supposed to be like in criminal court. Like, I never really thought it was like a probate court thing. I don't really know. I agree, Coco, thanks. I don't think he knows much at all. Billy B, the makeup artist. Yeah, I don't know anything about him. Billy hinted that Britney wants to retire, so why would you mention? Oh, that's a good question. Espo, Marion, they're asking, why would she mention further performances and albums? And my theory, and I would love if Lisa would weigh in on this too, my theory is that Andrew Wallet and Jamie Spears have both asked for that same power. So Britney's lawyers are probably like strategizing and saying, well, look, worst case scenario, shit hits the fan and they give these clowns that power. But then what if, we're all three co-conservators, Jamie, the trust, and Andrew. Well, now they all have those powers. It's not like an uneven power where at least, her lawyer that she actually wanted, her firm that she actually wanted in there has the ability to do it, and maybe she'll default to them. But I'm really not sure. Had no clue probate courts can issue restraining orders. Yeah, same. I didn't either. Is it possible she only wanted to retire if James was still in charge? Yes, that's possible. What are the chances of all of this being approved by Judge Penny? I think that the chances are pretty good because it seems like a very reasonable thing for Britney to ask. And it's presented by the court-appointed attorney, which generally the probate courts in California, from what I'm told, will side with those attorneys more often than not. How could they force her to perform? They shouldn't be. Okay. They shouldn't be, but coercion, threatening her with custody of her kids, threatening her with money, who knows? I don't think that they would, and I'm not alleging that they would. Okay, Free Britney LA says they're note signaling that Britney wants to work, just covering their bases in terms of what powers to grant. I think that too. Yeah, I think that too, Kevin. Lou is working with the Kardashians. She's an agent listed with the LSK. How? Gemini Superfly, I don't know. I know that it's speculated that they can make her work because they threatened to put her in insane asylums and threatened to put her in institutions against her will and threatened to take her children away from her in custody and stuff. That's speculation. So, technically they shouldn't be able to make her do anything. As far as recording. So if there are three with the power, do they have to agree? That's a great question, and I think that's something that would have to be determined in court on this old thing. Let's see. Why do you think Sam Ingham is suddenly working in Britney's favor? There are a few theories to that. Why do I think Sam Ingham is? I think Sam Ingham knows that he has to start doing everything by the book. I'm not necessarily saying he hasn't done that in the past, but I think he is just making sure, he comes through with his super lawyer powers to make sure he's doing everything by the book because of the amount of public and, frankly, global media attention that this case is gathering and this case is generating. I think he doesn't have... Lisa said... Okay, just pardon the interruption, Lisa says that Judge Penny cannot just remove Jamie based on Ingham's recommendations. So that tells me that there must be some type of standard or reason that Sam Ingham would have to give to remove Jamie. And I'm wondering is, Britney is strongly opposed. Is that a good enough reason? Let's see, more questions. What did you miss on Lou Taylor? We haven't talked too much about her. Megan Louise 94. Yes, Andrew Wallet did step down because it would be detrimental to Britney and her estate for him to remain on. Yeah, I agree, Monica. Public pressure. Ingham probably wants to start doing the right thing now that it's all coming back, covering his ass. Yeah, that's the going theory. He knows the ship is sinking. He probably wants to be on the right side of history. Yep, covering his ass, but I'll take it. Letters to politicians. Where's the news coverage about this? I've seen it in the news a bit recently, actually. This must be one of the biggest cases in the world right now. Yeah, he's covering his ass. If it wasn't for the global media, none of this would have happened. I think that's true. Do you think if this is approved, they can recover all the money they stole from her? That's going to be like a years-long thing. But conceivably, if they were to prove certain things where, certain things happened, they could get money back, but I'm not hopeful that that's going to happen. Michael Oreo, that is a fantastic point. It is weird how the conservatorship was granted so quickly, yet it seems to be impossible to get out of. And I think that is one of the reasons why California needs to really consider changing its probate legislation and the way it works. She can't see her kids 50%. I'm told that she can't see her kids 70% of the time and that she has like 30% custody, but I haven't seen the court documents on that. Jamie Lynn just probably filed for it to be moved so they don't get caught. Yeah, and if they already moved it, it's too late. They're already caught. A voluntary conservatorship, Patrick, is where the conservatee does not contest that they should be in a conservatorship. According to Meaner03, another Free Britney advocate, Britney voluntarily agreed that the conservatorship needed to happen in order to go on the circus tour, and they kind of tricked her and bamboozled her into that. Bessemer hasn't hit the news yet. I think that's what Cody meant. Oh, right. I see. Yeah, well, you know, we have like notifications on for court filings. The news needs to turn theirs on, huh? Yeah, I agree. The ultimate T, they would need a full litigation. Okay, Lisa answered my question. She says, is Britney, so I had asked Lisa, who is a lawyer in the California probate system, that I said, you know, is it a good enough reason to remove Jamie as a conservator if Britney herself, the conservatee, strongly opposes it? And Lisa says, that's not a good enough reason necessarily, because people want to remove conservators all the time, and it rarely happens. But given the loss of time with her boys and the restraining order, that might be the key. Okay, great. Thank you. We'll start pushing more on that. So everybody needs to start hyping up and sharing the notion that Britney does not have access to her children because of that restraining order, and because, she's a mother who can't see her kids, and it's largely because of the conservator of her estate right now is her dad, so he needs to go. Likely her medical diagnosis is private, the real Caleb Bellis. They did file one form in 2008 that says Britney has dementia or dementia-related illness. But other than that, all of her records of medical information have been sealed and private. And I think that is for the best. And I don't think that any of us need to know her diagnoses. Would a statement from Cher help solidify the case for trafficking? Yeah, I mean, anything would help that case. Only Cher has left up her post. Does a voluntary conservatorship still need a reason to put her in it? That's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that, Aggiana. This and Sloan videos are telling me what's been happening to Britney. We only had one coverage about her conservatorship, and that was 2 weeks ago in a newspaper over here in the UK, so thank you. Let's see. Let me get to the bottom here. Let's see. Let's expose all of them and get Jamie Lynn to lose her role in Sweet Magnolia. Y'all are so funny. We need her free. Does Lou Taylor make her money out of stealing others? That's the speculation. They do keep trying to keep that out of the news. James' alleged altercation with John Preston, restraining order. They changed it to step down for health reasons. Yeah, and I've never seen that restraining order either, so that's like a hidden sealed document somehow. Dementia would suggest she lacks capacity. Is that the only reason why they would say she had dementia? So there's like special rules in the California probate system about dementia and dementia related stuff that like basically lets your conservators have even more power and control over you than if you had something else, some other neurodevelopmental thing. So that's the going theory as to why they chose dementia. Let's see. K-Fed has full custody. 30% is visitation. If it's voluntary, why can't she change her mind? She can change her mind, and she can file for an end to the conservatorship. A lot of people have asked why she hasn't filed to end the conservatorship, just petition to terminate it. And I think that the restraining order was on the docket and promptly removed. Interesting. Yasmin Marie, the way I found out about it was through news outlets, a few news outlets, and the Free Britney fandom. But Britney, the Sagittarius, aka Ryan, is saying that the restraining order was at one point on the docket and then it went away. Anyway, back to this question about, what was I asking? Oh, so a lot of people are saying, like, conceivably, the reason she's not filing to terminate the petition just outright is because she, it's just much more pressing of an issue that she just gets Jamie Spears' hands out of her wallet, out of her pockets. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's not true, but I find it to be compelling. They probably don't give her the full resources to terminate the C-ship. Right, exactly. Like, do y'all think Britney Spears has the legal and technical knowledge plus, like, the alone time to sit down and draft a petition to terminate her conservatorship? I think probably not. Let's see. I wonder if the C-ship started out genuine due to the fact that she had a short marriage and ended up costing her a fortune when she split with K-Fed and then realized how much money they could make. That is one theory, Megan Louise. I personally think that the conservatorship was in the works for months before they even filed anything. We saw in Lynn Spears' book that, Lou and a team of people were putting things together for months before they actually filed for it and stuff. So I think that Lou Taylor knew exactly what was to gain. And then Geraldine Weil and Gerald Cohen are both like repeat players in this system. So they know what they stood to gain from this. It wasn't like some brand new, like the people who they had in place helping them knew how this stuff goes. Do you think her family wanted her to break down to take control? I do think that. And Britney's mom, Lynn, even accused Jamie, Britney's dad, of selling stories to TMZ in order to make Britney look bad. So I think that's there. Ryan, Britney the Sagittarius, says, from a care plan perspective, you wouldn't immediately go to termination. It sets up a client for failure, even if they're completely competent, because learned helplessness is a very real thing. That's a great point. And it doesn't really speak to the legal, which is why I didn't think to bring it up. But there's the psychological phenomenon. I'm not a mental health expert. So Britney the Sagittarius, has actually resources and videos on this. But learned helplessness is a psychological phenomenon whereby a person is kind of told for so long that they're unable to do certain things that they believe it and they think that must be true. And this learned helplessness can be even worse whenever the people who are telling you that you can't do things are people who are supposed to be helping you do things. They're supposed to be encouraging you, like your parents or your family, right? So if your whole entire family is telling you can't buy groceries, you might eventually believe you can't buy groceries or whatever, right? So good point, Ryan. Thanks for bringing that up. The lawyers and doctors should be stripped of their professional certifications. I'm not going to disagree. I don't trust Lynn. She seems like a narcissistic stage parent. I don't know where I stand on Lynn, to be honest. I feel like there's stuff she should have done, but I also feel like she was in an abusive relationship with like an alcoholic. Like they had a very, very stressful and tragic upbringing. I just don't really know where I stand on her. You can't make dinner reservations. Is Lynn not doing more because Jamie has legally blocked her out? I have heard that as well, that she's not even allowed to like talk to Britney. Like Jamie has to be there monitoring. I don't know if that's true or not. It was a clear strategic move to make Jamie Lynn the trustee instead of Lynn. That's true. I agree with that. She approved the petition to not have a capacity hearing for a joke of a reason because Britney might tell Sam Lufty. Yeah, good point. Yeah, for me, the jury's still out on Lynn. I really don't know. I want to hope. Okay, Lisa says that www, write this down, y'all, or type it down, www.lacourt.org, so LA Court, all one word, provides the dates, and I think all hearings will be merged together on November 17th. From there, Judge Penny will ask about discovery unless James is willing to step aside. Okay, cool. So to remove James as a conservator is going to be a whole process, is what I'm taking that to mean. It's not going to be like, oh, bang gavel, you're done, you got to go. I'm about to get kicked off in 24 seconds. So let's see. I don't trust Lynn. Okay, I think that she will get out of this conservatorship, and I think that our work and our advocacy is going to directly help her lawyers and the people who are fighting for her to be able to do that. But I'm getting kicked off of Instagram Live in 5 seconds. It was really nice to talk to y'all.